Ever feel like nothing you do works? Your child refuses to listen, throws a tantrum in the middle of the store, or fights you over every little thing. You try your best, but some days it feels like you're constantly putting out fires. Parenting is tough, but what if there were simple tricks that could make life easier? Things that could turn meltdowns into calm moments and power struggles into cooperation, all without yelling, bribing, or losing your patience. Today, I'm sharing 11 parenting hacks that you'll wish you knew sooner. And trust me, number 5 is a complete game changer when it comes to tantrums. Let's get into it. If you've ever told your child to do something and they immediately shouted, "No!" You're not alone. One of the biggest reasons kids resist is because they don't like being told what to do. They want to feel like they have some control. That's where the power of 2 choices comes in. Instead of saying, "Put on your shoes," give them 2 options. Do you want to wear your red shoes or your blue ones? Either way, they're putting on their shoes, but now they feel like they're making the decision. This works for almost everything. Do you want to brush your teeth now or after your bedtime story? Do you want the bunny cup or the dinosaur cup? Do you want to walk to the car or hop like a bunny? Giving choices makes kids feel empowered, and when they feel in control, they're much more likely to cooperate. But here's where most parents go wrong. They forget to use this technique at mealtime too, and that's what we'll talk about next. Bedtime can feel like a battle every single night. The constant requests for water, one more story, another hug, anything to delay actually sleeping. But there's a simple trick that makes a huge difference. Let your child put their stuffed animal to bed first. Tuck in their teddy bear or favorite doll, give it a little pat and say something like, "Shh, Teddy is going to sleep now. It's bedtime for him." Then turn to your child and say, "Now it's your turn. Just like Teddy, it's time to get cozy and close your eyes." Kids mimic what they see. When their stuffed animal is calm and going to sleep, they're much more likely to follow along. It also gives them a sense of responsibility, making bedtime feel like something they're in charge of rather than something they're forced into. And speaking of sleep, if your child wakes up at 5 in the morning ready to start the day, you need to hear this next hack. Young kids have no concept of time. They wake up at the crack of dawn ready to go with no clue that it's still way too early. If that sounds familiar, this trick will be a lifesaver. Get a color-changing nightlight or an alarm clock that turns green when it's okay to get out of bed. Then explain to your child, when the light turns green, that means it's time to wake up. If it's still blue, that means it's still sleep time. At first, they'll probably still wake up early, but when they see that the light hasn't changed yet, they'll start to understand that it's not time to get up. Over time, they'll learn to wait. And here's a bonus tip. Make it exciting. In the morning, if they waited for the green light, celebrate it. Give them a high five and say, "Wow, you waited for the green light. Great job." This small moment of praise reinforces the habit and makes them excited to do it again. Now let's talk about tantrums. Because if you've ever felt completely helpless in the middle of a meltdown, this next tip will change everything. Picture this. You're in the grocery store. Your child spots a toy, you say no, and suddenly they're on the floor kicking, screaming, and completely losing it. Most parents react by saying, "Calm down." But here's the thing. Kids don't know how to calm down. That's where the calm down bubble trick comes in. Instead of telling them to stop crying, turn it into a game. Say, "Let's blow all of our mad feelings into a big bubble. Take a deep breath in. Now blow it out. Poof, it's gone." Deep breathing naturally calms the nervous system, but young kids won't do it unless it feels like play. This trick gives them something visual to focus on, shifting their attention away from the meltdown. And the best part? Over time, they'll start using deep breaths on their own whenever they get upset. If you want to take it a step further, keep a small bottle of real bubbles in your bag. The next time your child is upset, hand them the bottle and say, "Let's blow our mad feelings away." Watching the bubbles float and pop helps them reset. This simple shift can make tantrums shorter, calmer, and way less stressful for everyone. But what if your child just refuses to listen to you in the first place? Here's what most parents miss. If you've ever found yourself repeating instructions over and over only for your child to completely ignore you, this hack will change everything. Instead of getting louder, do the opposite. Start whispering. It sounds counterintuitive, but when you lower your voice instead of raising it, something fascinating happens. Your child suddenly has to pay attention. They get curious. They lean in to hear what you're saying. Imagine this. Your toddler is running around, ignoring your calls to put on their shoes. Instead of yelling, you crouch down and whisper, "Hey, I have a secret about your shoes." Just like that, they stop and listen. This works because kids are wired to tune out noise, but they instinctively respond to something unusual, like a whisper. It turns the moment into a game rather than a power struggle. And speaking of struggles, if you've ever felt like you're begging your child to eat something other than crackers and chicken nuggets, this next trick will blow your mind. Getting a toddler to eat vegetables can feel impossible. But instead of fighting them on it, use reverse psychology. The next time you put broccoli or carrots on their plate, casually say, "Oh, this is just for grown-ups. You probably wouldn't like it." Then pretend you're really enjoying it. 9 times out of 10, your child will suddenly want to try it. Because if there's one thing toddlers love, it's proving you wrong. This works because kids naturally crave independence. The moment they think something is off limits, they have to have it. You're making vegetables feel exclusive, not forced, and that changes the entire dynamic at the dinner table. And if dinner time always turns into chaos, try this next trick. It might just save your sanity. Most parents struggle with getting their child to actually sit and eat at dinner. They're too busy running around, playing, or getting distracted, but there's an easy way to fix this. Get them involved in making the food. It doesn't have to be complicated. Let them stir, sprinkle, or mix something small. Even something as simple as handing you ingredients makes a huge difference. When kids help prepare a meal, they feel like they own it. And when they feel ownership, they're much more likely to sit down and actually eat. This also taps into their natural curiosity. Instead of food just appearing on their plate, they've been part of the process, and that makes them way more interested in eating it. Try this next time you're making dinner. Give them a tiny bowl of shredded cheese and say, "Can you sprinkle this on top?" Or let them stir pancake batter even if it gets messy. That small moment of participation makes them feel in control, which means less mealtime drama. Now let's talk about something every parent struggles with: getting kids to clean up. If your child refuses to pick up their toys, you need this next hack. If cleanup time turns into an argument every single day, you're not alone. Most kids resist cleaning because it feels like a boring chore. But there's a simple way to flip the script. Turn it into a race. Instead of saying, "Pick up your toys," set a timer and say, "Let's see if we can clean up before the timer runs out." Suddenly, it's not a chore. It's a challenge. Kids love a sense of competition, even if they're just competing against the clock. And the best part? It makes cleanup fast instead of dragging on forever. Here's another way to make it fun. Pick a silly cleanup song and say, "We're going to clean up before the song is over." When the music stops, the game is done. If your child still refuses, try this. I'll clean up the blue toys, you clean up the red ones. This makes the task feel smaller and more manageable. When they see you cleaning alongside them, they're more likely to jump in. But what if that still doesn't work? That's where the toy jail trick comes in. And it's a total game changer for stubborn kids. If you've tried everything to get your child to pick up their toys and they still refuse, it's time for toy jail. Here's how it works. When your child leaves toys lying around after you've asked them to clean up, don't argue, don't repeat yourself, just calmly pick up the toys and put them in toy jail. Then tell them, "These toys will stay in toy jail until you do a special job to earn them back." That special job can be something simple, helping set the table, picking up a few extra toys, or anything that reinforces responsibility. This works because it shifts the dynamic. Instead of begging them to clean up, you're giving them a choice. Do they want their toys back? Great. They know exactly what to do. The key here is follow through. If you take away a toy, don't give it back just because they get upset. Stick to the plan, and they'll quickly realize that ignoring cleanup means losing access to their favorite things. And speaking of things kids lose, let's talk about shoes. Because if your child constantly puts their shoes on the wrong feet, this next trick will save you a lot of frustration. Getting kids to put on their shoes is already a struggle, but when they finally do, and they're on the wrong feet, it's enough to drive you crazy. There's a ridiculously simple fix. Take a sticker, cut it in half, and place each half inside their shoes. When they line up the sticker correctly, they know they've got the shoes on the right feet. This small visual cue gives toddlers just enough guidance to do it on their own. No more constant corrections. No more back and forth struggles. They feel independent, and you don't have to spend 5 minutes fixing their shoes every time you go out. And that brings us to our final hack, one that will completely change the way your child asks for your attention. Picture this, you're in the middle of a conversation and your child keeps tugging on your arm, shouting, "Mom, Mom, Mom!" It's frustrating, and it teaches them that interrupting gets attention. But there's a simple way to stop this without ignoring them. Teach them the hand on my shoulder trick. Here's how it works. Instead of interrupting, show them that when they need you, they should place their hand on your shoulder. That's their way of saying, "I need your attention." When you feel their hand, place your hand over theirs for just a second. That signals, "I see you, I know you need me, and I'll help as soon as I can." Then, when you finish what you're doing, you turn to them and say, "Thanks for waiting. What do you need?" At first, you'll have to remind them, but once they get it, this simple system stops interruptions while still making sure they feel heard. It teaches patience and respect, and honestly, it makes life a whole lot more peaceful. Parenting isn't easy, but small tricks like these can make a huge difference. Which hack do you think will help you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe for more genius parenting tips every week. You've got this. See you next time.